Man approaches a 13-year-old on the street and then he hands her a strange box. It's an ordinary winter afternoon, nearing Christmas Day, and the weather in Pocatello, Idaho, is chilly but clear. 13-year-old Emily is on her way home from school with her brother, Henry, when suddenly a man starts walking toward them, repeating Emily's name. The siblings are both taken aback by the encounter on this rural country road. Yet, the man continues to come closer, holding out a box. As the stranger tells Emily to take the box and open it, she can't help but wonder if this is some cruel trick. At the time of the man approaching her, Emily was 13. But you might have considered her somewhat old for her age. That's because she'd been going through some things in her life that most kids don't have to face. Her grandmother passed away when Emily was no more than a small child. Cancer had taken her in the end, and the disease became quite a scourge for her family. The youngster had been concerned that her mother would also fall victim to the same illness. Unfortunately, Emily's worst fear came to pass. In 2019, Emily's mother started to feel very sick. Unfortunately, trips to the hospital didn't reveal what was wrong with her until far too late. When the doctors figured out Emily's mom had pancreatic cancer, the illness was at an advanced stage. The problem with pancreatic cancer is that it can be hard to spot. The symptoms and signs don't show up early on, so it can be quite advanced before it's detected. If the cancer spreads too far, operating becomes impossible. In Emily's mom's case, it was terminal, and she died a few days before her birthday in November 2020. Losing a parent is terrible for any kid, particularly a big family. Yet even before the tragedy had struck, Emily had become a second mom to her siblings. There are 5 of them, all younger than she is. They cover quite a range, from a tot who cannot yet walk up to a brother not too much her junior. So you can imagine the work involved. Feeding, clothing, and generally looking after a bunch of youngsters running from infant to teen. Emily had handled everything she'd been dealt with such good grace, and it had not gone unnoticed. One of her friends decided to write into the East Idaho News website and tell Emily's story. While this anonymous friend didn't necessarily have the means to give Emily and her family what he thought she deserved, with the help of East Idaho News, he was able to summon 3 little Santas to rural Idaho. A group of strange Santa men clambers up some stairs to a front door and knocks. A few moments later, a man emerges. It's Emily's dad. One of the guys asks after his daughter, but he says she's not home yet, she's still on the bus from school. Emily's dad then indicates the route she'll take home. It's perfect for an ambush. Nate, the guy at the door, tells the dad, normally, we bring gifts for adults. But the dad is not disappointed that they're not there for him. Instead, he tells Nate, I have more than enough stuff in the house at the moment. With that, the Santa crew gets ready to surprise Emily as she walks home from school. The guys catch sight of a girl coming down the street and Nate hails her, telling her they're looking for a girl called Emily. She looks at Nate skeptically. Clearly, this girl has learned about stranger danger in school. Or perhaps she is just weirded out by 3 guys in Santa hats, one of them holding a microphone. Emily confirms her name and she's still more than a bit confused. What on earth is going on? You can see her thinking about it. A boy with her, probably one of her siblings, says he's Henry and he giggles, shy at being on camera. Then Nate explains why they are there. So we got some presents for you, the presenter says, and you can share them with your siblings. Emily smiles and says, yeah, I figured. And then Nate reveals the idea of the ambush and shares the news that makes sense of what they're doing in the funny hats. Nate says, we're from Secret Santa. He tells her they represent a man who doesn't want to be known. But he's got presents for her. So she's handed a pretty box, but it's still a mystery what's inside. She takes it and peers inside. We can see it's stuffed, but what does it hold? Whoa, Emily cries with delight. Oh my, gift cards. There's a stack of them. Nate tells her, there's $1,000 of gift cards there. Amazing. She can hardly believe her ears. Nate says they're from as many restaurants as we could find. He figures there's a week's good eating in there. But Santa is not finished. There are more presents for Emily. Henry gets to open the next one. It's a stack of gift cards for a department store, and $2,000 will go a long way towards shoes, clothes, and whatever else Emily wants from the Emporium. Can it possibly get any better? Seeing how stunned the youngster is by this, Nate quickly reassures her. This isn't a joke, he says. You look like you're questioning what's happening here. Emily is, for sure. But there's no joke, just a whole lot of seasonal joy. There's one final box for the kids to open. As Emily opens the box, Nate asks whether she likes to cook. Emily doesn't know, of course, that her friend told Santa that she does. She confirms it. Well, this gift is $1,000 to take to the grocery store to buy food and $1,000 for bed, bath, and beyond, where she can buy homewares to cook it with. Emily says she wants to thank whoever is responsible for these gifts, and Nate suggests she go right ahead. Waving at the Secret Santa, she says, thanks a ton. She's blown away by his generosity. And with that, she scampers off to show her dad what Santa's helpers brought her. But who is Santa, the mysterious benefactor behind these gifts? The East Idaho News is not telling, but some things are known about him. He was born in eastern Idaho and still lives there. And he's not representing a charity or a fund of any sort. The money for the Secret Santa program is all from him. But why does Secret Santa do it? Well, he shares a story of one Christmas when he was overseas on the big day. He went for his breakfast, and there on the table was a present. Without any idea from whom it had come, he at least knew someone was thinking about him at Christmas. And Santa never learned where that present had come from, 5 decades in the past. Still, it left a strong memory, and it reminds him that even when you feel alone, there's still someone out there who loves you and cares for you. It's his belief that giving without wanting anything back is the pinnacle of caring. So since 2015, Santa has teamed up with East Idaho News to bring gifts to people who really need a lift. The first year he did it, he gave away $100,000. But he wasn't satisfied with that. He kept on donating more each year, and by 2021 he was handing out $1 million. Yes, he was really showering East Idahans with presents. To qualify for one of Secret Santa's gifts, a person must have their home in the east of Idaho and really need the gift. He won't donate to just anyone, but when he does give, he's really generous. Laundry machines, computers, dental treatments, cards for groceries and gas, you name it, he supplied it. So what kind of people benefit? A good example from 2021 was Rich and Brittany. Rich had been suffering with terrible headaches. Sometimes they had even been paralyzing, and they'd made working very hard. He and Brittany have 5 boys, and it was tough to look after them. So Santa was glad to give them some Christmas cheer. Another example is Ginger. Back in 2016 her man had a fall, and the outcome was that he could no longer work. So Ginger had to provide for 7 kids, one of them having a serious disability. She tries to keep on top of work and fixing up her house, but sometimes just doesn't have the cash for it. So Santa helped her to fix the steps to her home, which were dangerous. In another case, Jim was the full-time carer for his wife. Mostly he couldn't get out and about. He had to give up work even, but he didn't grumble. But Santa had something to brighten his life. See, Jim wanted to be a writer, so a decent laptop and some new spectacles were a real benefit to him. An amazing story was Angie's. She's a student at university working to complete her degree. In 2021, at the time of the gift giving, she'd been trying for 17 years. One reason it's taken her so long is that she cares for her mom, often staying up late at night to do it. A perfect case for Secret Santa. Angie has a shop on Etsy to try to bring in some much needed cash, but it's really hard for her to fill orders. So Nate came to call, and amazingly, Angie's first thought was that there must be someone who needed it more. But Nate didn't agree, and she was a recipient of Santa's generosity. Just like Emily, Audrey's life had been affected by cancer. When her legs started hurting, a bunch of tests revealed that she had bone cancer. She'd suffered through many surgeries and looked like spending Christmas 2021 in hospital. But when they let her go home for the holiday, there was a surprise waiting for her. So Emily found herself in very good company, and there's no doubt that she deserved her gifts. But what did the public think? Well, more than 670,000 people have watched the YouTube video, and it's been flooded with likes and comments. The most popular of those praises Nate for not making a show out of Emily's grief. Another commenter delighted in her reaction to getting the gifts. They wrote, "The way her eyes and face light up was so adorable." And another suggested, "Emily's mom would be so proud of her for taking on such a big job. It's easy to see how proud her dad is of her." So it's fair to say that Santa has done a great job regarding Emily. And he will continue to do it, but he doesn't solicit or want donations. Instead, what he asks people to do is become their own Secret Santa in the places that they live. He succinctly puts his point of view on the East Idaho News website. Everyone can be a Secret Santa.